Hello, Damsels. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is Damsels After Dark, your favorite book review podcast show. I don't know.
We don't know what we are anymore.
We're here to talk about books.
That's all we care about.
Mm-hmm. Today we are doing Masters of Death by Olivie Blake.
I think this one is a standalone.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a standalone. I don't think it's, young adult. I don't even know. What am I talking about? It's a young adult standalone.
Kristen's just making it up as she goes.
I'm hungry. I'm always hungry. But I don't think there's much to this one. This is actually a very short, sweet, to the point book, and it's a really good, just starter read for anybody who wants to kind of dabble in fantasy. I think there's not a whole lot of fantasy.
No, there's really not a whole lot of fantasy. It's kind of like in a fantastical world, but it's not like there's not really magic going on too much. But just as always, the first half of our reviews will be spoil free, and then the second half we'll get into like our favorite hated parts. So those will be spoilers, but we'll give a warning before then.
Yeah. So without further ado,
let's jump into it. So we were given this book to read by a family, and the person who gave it to us absolutely hated it. I didn't even think that she made it very far, maybe like 2 chapters in, and she was ranting and raving about it, and so she just gave it to me and said, you should read it, and I was like, well, we might as well just put it on our book list to read. I had no idea what this was.
To be fair, I did have it on my TBR and totally forgot about it.
Okay.
And then I was going through my TBR when we were looking for books to read again. I was like, oh, we should read Masters of Death. And you were like, that's the book. And I was like, okay. So yeah, I had an inkling what it was about just based off the description. But to be honest, reading that description does the book, like, I don't want to say no justice, but no good. It doesn't really do a good job of describing.
No, this is a hard book to describe, let alone like put a description to captivate potential readers.
Yeah.
What sold me on it though, and I'll just open it because like the art in here with the characters.
Yeah, that's beautiful artwork.
I was like, how could this story be bad? Look at your cast of characters in here. They're beautiful, and they have the ones on the other end too. Like, I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe that this book would be bad. But so this was the copy that I was given. And can I just say, 90%, no, I'm going to go with 100% of the books that I've been reading since, I don't know, I was like 19, have been on a Kindle. I had the Barnes & Noble's one when it first came out, then I got a Kindle, and I've never looked back. So I was given this, I'm like, well, I'm not going to go buy the e-version. I have it. I'll just read it. Oh my, it was a miserable experience. I'm like trying to get comfortable in bed holding this big ass fucking book. I don't know how you people who love fucking hardcover, like holding a physical book in your hand, like you are diehard lovers of that. I don't know how.
I do. I got these big ass thick books and I'm just like, just hold it.
I fucking hate it. Like, I'm in my room most of the time reading on a pillow, just holding my one little thing like this, and I'm like this, and I'm like this. Like, this, you can't do that with this. I'm like, what? How do I take notes? Like, what? I hated every moment of this. So much so that I had to get the ebook because I couldn't just relax and read this. It's like you have to be sitting up, holding it with both hands. I don't know.
I'll tell you.
I'll never go back.
I test it. I'll do this. I'll be doing this. And I got one foot up. I'm like this. I will do it. And the book will be like 800 pages. I'm telling you, my arm strength. And like, not to mention, not just the arm strength, but like my thumb and my pinky has calluses on it. From holding the book like this.
Thank you.
It's a trial and tribulation, but I have to say, going from Kindle to a book, if I'm on a regular book, I will sit there and hold the page and try and highlight, and I'm like, what am I doing? And then when I go to a Kindle, I'm trying to flip the it's a devastating experience for me too, but in the opposite direction.
I picked one and I will stay that course. I was like, what kind of fucking archaic technology is this? Who does this? I hated every moment of reading like this. And the thing is, like, you can't. I had to have a light source.
Yes.
I had to have a lamp on, or my phone was on, or I've got these fucking clips And it was, no, I don't need any of that shit and I had to have a highlighter too so I could fucking highlight. I was just like, oh, let me put this down on my bed. Oh, I gotta pull it out. No. Absolutely not. I hated it.
When you sent me a meme of something or a gif of something, and the girl had her light here.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's how I do my light right here, because like you put it on the book and it's like shining on one little page and like one little section. So like I put it here and like I'll have it like holding onto my chin and I'm like,
oh my god.
I know.
See, that's already too much for me. Also, I didn't have a bookmark because I don't have physical books, so I was just shoving shit in there.
Well, to be fair, I have bookmarks and I still do that.
Yeah,
I still do that. So yeah, I mean,
I hated it.
It really is somebody's like choice for like preference.
It
definitely.
is a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice and a preference. I do, like I said, I do all of it. The only thing I don't really do is audiobooks, but I would love to get into the graphic audios pretty soon.
So, yeah, the audiobooks are hit and miss sometimes. This audiobook, if you're curious, was really, really good. Like he's like an English deep man voice was just doing real good. Doing lots of good things for this book over here. So it was great, but yeah, it was a horrible experience. I don't know why you guys torture yourself with hard books. You should come to the future, get yourself an e-reader, and
I love both. I love both. It is a good experience for like if you like it, obviously. But
yeah,
it is troublesome and a lot of like effort to read. And then you gotta lug it around. I don't know about you.
No, I have a purse that's this fucking big, and and I fit all my books in there with just my little Kindle.
I carry the like the tote, the Barnes and Noble tote, and I'll have like 4 or 5 books there as I'm going around.
Oh my god!
It's like I'm going back to school.
You guys are living in the fucking dark ages over there. Yeah, like going to school. No, I can't even bring myself to carry around like a diaper bag when I had a baby. Like I don't like feeling encumbered.
Apparently I do.
Yeah, apparently you and the rest of the fucking people who need their 5 books with them all the time.
Look at me and my books.
No, thank you. I'll be on my slim ass Kindle. I don't even have a Kindle anymore. I just have the app.
Yeah,
but I have that on my Fire tablet, which I would say is far better actually than the Kindle. Way less expensive too.
It is way cheaper.
But I can go into a whole rant on that. But I won't, because we're here to read this book.
We went into a half rant.
Or we did read the book. Yes. We did go into half rant. We did read the book. We do have our scores. We have some spoilers. We have it all. Today's a full episode.
It is. If I could find my notes, I would be very prepared. Okay, yeah, I got it.
So first we'll jump into the summary, which I don't even know how to describe this book.
You really can't. All we could do is describe that a group of different type of paranormal or fantasy creatures. They call themselves creatures. It's not the word I use. That they get together serendipitously.
Yeah.
But not really. But really, it's somehow planned, but not. And they end up getting together to. I don't know if this is a spoiler, so I don't want to say that. Save one of the other creatures or people. Well, not a creature. He's not a creature.
I think that's fair to say, because I think the description of the book even says like there's a vampire who is trying to sell this house that's haunted, and
who is a ghost that's also part of the creature crew,
and so they're trying to remove this ghost from the house so that she can sell it. Yeah. And they enlist a medium whose name is Fox Demora.
Who is a fake medium. He's not a real medium. They even say that he's not a real medium. But he's a medium. Yeah. And he is the godson of Death.
Yes.
Yeah. So right off the bat, you know that. I think it says it in the description.
Yeah. So, and then just shenanigans kind of happens once they all come together and they try to release this ghost from the house.
Yeah, and they end up being on a mission to assist the medium in an issue that he is dealing with. Yeah. And it's funny because it's not like they're all separately dealing with it, but they're not, because then they come together and they realize that one person's problem becomes everybody's problem.
Yes.
And they can't solve one problem without solving this other problem, and they end up bickering pretty much the whole book.
Yeah, because these are personalities that normally probably would never have come together other than this one mission that they all end up on, and they clash often. And
that's supposed to be the humor of it. It's I don't know if a lot of people will take that and enjoy that aspect of the book. I found it humorous.
I did too. A lot of people though did not.
Yeah. So if you don't like the bickering amongst people, or you don't, if you're not, if you go to a restaurant and you hear a couple like complaining or arguing with each other, if you're not the type of person who likes to listen into that stuff, this is not the book for you.
Yeah.
But if you are a nosy person who kind of likes to jump in the middle of somebody's argument or disagreement or bickering session, then this is definitely the book for you, because that is pretty much this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're sort of just along with this wild cast, which almost feels very sitcom-y at times.
Yes.
How their banter is back and forth. And you're just sort of along for the ride until they solve the main problem. And then there's a beautiful sort of message trailing all the way towards the end about like love and mortality and things like that. So all around, I think it was a well-rounded book. Like there was a singular plot.
But you don't know the plot.
But you don't know the plot for like 90% of the book. Mm-hmm. You don't really know what the fuck is going on.
You don't.
You just are sort of grabbed by the hand and hope that you make it out to the end of this alive. So, yeah, I mean, that's essentially it's really hard to describe this book without giving any spoilers, because there's really so much going on, and you really can't. So that's probably the best summary that we could give of the book. So then I guess we could just jump into our ratings. Kristen?
I gave it a 3, and it wasn't because of the bickering or any of that, because I found that funny. The reason I gave it a 3 is because I didn't feel like I enjoyed the aspect of not knowing what the hell was going on. That is a big part of the book, and that gave me so much anxiety. And if you're the type of person who wants to follow along easily, this is definitely a difficult book. You will not follow along. I found myself rereading a lot of stuff, and because of that, I don't want to do that a lot of times, and that's why I gave it a 3. But it's not a bad book. It's not a horrible book. It's just it wasn't something I felt like I enjoyed reading from start to finish. I found myself like wondering if I was ever going to understand what the hell was going on. Mm-hmm. And I found that frustrating sometimes. But the characters I enjoyed.
Yes.
I enjoyed the characters, and I felt like it wasn't poorly written. No. It was written well. It was just, I found that it's not my style of reading.
It's a very specific type of writing style too. Like it's in specifically how she constructs the sentences, the chapters, the entire skeleton of the book was a very specific way, and so not a lot of people like that, and it is sort of hard to understand. I would agree with that. But yeah,
that's just no spice. I didn't find that there was any spice. I mean, there was little bits here and there where they talked about the creatures or the characters in the story getting together and stuff, but there was nothing like romantic in the sense of down and dirty type of talk.
Yeah, there was I don't think there was any like specific scenes, like sexual scenes.
There was a couple sexual scenes, but not like you would think. It's more like an event happened or a sex act happened.
It wasn't like a described setup scenario where they walked you through what was going on.
No, it was just like this happened and you got the idea. And it didn't close the door completely, but it didn't describe it. So
yes.
It was just, I don't think there was, in my opinion, that's not spice. So
yes, I agree.
This is not a spicy book, guys. Sorry.
No. Sorry. Or maybe you don't like spicy books.
So then, yeah.
I gave it a 3.5, and I think that if I had to, I don't know that I could round up or down. I'm just gonna stick with a solid 3.5 because I don't think that it was a 4, but I also don't think that it was a 3. This book really did feel like a fever dream that somebody grabbed me and like ran me through the whole time, and I'm like, wait, what? And like things are just flying past you at all moments, and you have no moment to just sit and be like, what the fuck just happened? You're just going full speed. That's how it felt the entire time. But for some reason I really liked it. Like I was entertained by the humor that was going on, and I was intrigued enough that I was very interested in figuring out, like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, what is this game that everybody's talking about? What is this? Yeah. Because you're, like, clunked in here into a world where people are talking about, they all have a base knowledge of something that you don't have, and they're speaking on it as if everybody in the room knows what the fuck you're talking about. So I did hate that at times, but it was intriguing enough, and the rest of the plot and the characters sort of upheld it for me that I just sort of was like, I'll get my answers at the end. I'm not gonna like think too much. I'm just along for the ride. I'm just gonna somebody drag me through this and it'll be fine. There's a lot of things too here, like where there's different POV switches and different time switches, so that can be sort of hard to follow along because we're jumping, like you'll meet characters and then we'll jump back to a scenario where they first met.
Yeah. It drove me crazy.
I didn't hate it. It felt almost cinematic to me because you knew it was gonna. The moment you meet a new character, it's like whoop back 10,000 years or whatever the time frame is, and then you're like, here's their first interaction, and then oop, we're back to the present. And so I kind of liked it because it felt again very cinematic to me. Another thing that I like is that they use every deity and like myths and other religions, and they all existed in the same world. I thought that was really cool. For a moment, it confused me because I'm like, how are we talking about? I wanted like Hades, and then we were talking about him and the devil, and then I was just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I enjoyed that as well. That was a really good, It felt like it wasn't exclusive to any kind of group.
Yes.
Any kind of race, any kind of religion.
Yes.
And it felt like anybody could enjoy this book without having to worry about, oh, this is set for Catholicism or, Greek mythology. No, it like lumped them all in.
It's like they all
fun.
exist in every world. And so, you can believe in Jesus, and then also you can believe in the deities over here or Zeus. It was perfect. I really enjoyed that. Someone on Goodreads said that it was like listening to squirrels bickering. And I also 100% agree with that, but I, like Kristen said, really fucking enjoyed it. I don't know, there was something about it that did not turn me off to it. Another thing that I really liked about this story is that, like I said earlier, it feels like a true story. Like it is concluded at the end. It feels final. I don't have any more questions really. I don't have like a longing for anything. Like they came in, told me the story, I experienced this, and then I'm done. And sometimes I don't have that finality with books, especially ones that I like generally like. Like if I hate the standalone, then it's done. But like some ones I'm like longing to stay in here, but this was like, nope, I experienced it. I don't need more. I like it. I thought the conclusion was beautiful. The message about mortality and love and like these two characters that fall in love through it. Like it was beautiful. I did like it. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything I hated about this book.
Yeah.
Specifically other than the fact that it's just it's the writing style that was just not my writing style or my typical writing style read. So I think, and I don't even really want to say that was because it's a bad thing. It's just obviously most of these are just our opinion, so it's just not my liking. However, I could see how other people would enjoy it because it was comical. It did have that. It was meant to leave things out to make the point across, throughout the book that you're not supposed to know what's going on, and that is the cliffhanger. There's a lot of like sprinkled twists in the book that I enjoyed, and it kept me going even though I didn't like the writing style per se. I hate saying that I didn't like the writing style because that's not exactly true. I just it wasn't in the mood for this writing style.
Yes.
You have to be in this. You have to be ready and willing to read this type of writing style, and it wasn't.
It's almost like an academic book, like a book your professor would give you to fucking read. That you need to be like awake and fully ready for.
You cannot read this You cannot read this with the inkling of sleepy in your head or in your eyes because it's going to be difficult. I had to reread. I spent most of my time rereading things because I just wasn't ready or prepared for the back and forth and the not knowing of what's going on
and keeping track of that in your head.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I don't even say dislike, but didn't really enjoy reading. But yeah, there was nothing particular I disliked. I think there was more that I could say good about this book than there was negative.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a couple times in this book that I feel it's a little bit pretentious. But I think that's meant to be that way because these are creatures who are long-lived. They're immortal, and death, of course, is in it. And he's a being that's eternal.
Yes.
Of course, he's going to be. He's not. I don't want to say pretentious because he's not. He's also down to earth in a way. Mm-hmm. But right in the beginning of the book, the narrator will speak very eloquently and articulate, and if you're not prepared for that in the beginning, it's like, okay, am I going to be rereading one of those books where every vocabulary that's longer than 5 syllables is going to be thrown at me?
Yeah.
It's felt that way in the beginning, but it's not. It's really
it's
not. It's just not meant to tell a story as if it's like, okay, this is where we're at, and these are creatures, and it's meant to be like a dry, comical.
Yes.
Like, it's good. So
Yeah.
I just don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's nothing really to dislike.
Okay.
So that being said, do you really have anything you dislike? Because I know you said you kind of didn't, but is there a little bit of something that you disliked about the book?
I put no worst parts, so
Awesome.
no. I liked it. I generally liked it. I just didn't love it.
Yeah.
But I liked it, and I loved parts within it. But yeah, I think that's why it's a 3.5.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't hate it.
I was like, it's that middle ground where
Yeah.
there really isn't nothing you can complain about it.
Yeah.
So
It's just very specific for a specific group of people with a specific and a specific time in your life.
And a specific reading style.
Yeah, a specific day of the day.
Yeah.
Time of the day.
It really is. It really is.
It's like it requires the stars to align for you to like it, but generally, yes, like I was a good fan. Like this book will end up in my library at the end of it. I did pull off Goodreads, and so Goodreads gave it a 3.74 out of 26,000
So not
reviews.
too far from our scoring.
So yeah, we're right there. I did pull off some of my favorite number 1-star reviews, and the first one was from Robin, who did say this was tedious. It felt like reading about a bunch of squirrels bickering with increasing angst.
That's fair.
Which is a fair criticism.
It's a fair reading, yeah.
And it's not wrong. Like, that is what it is.
No,
and some people are going to hate it, and some people are going to like it. Alyssa Nicole said, there were many different characters and so much chaos that I couldn't even tell you what I was reading, to be honest. And I do agree with that. Like,
yeah, none of these are wrong.
These are not wrong.
so like, their rating in here, I would agree for them because, like we said, it's a very particular read with a very particular time of the day where you have to particularly want to read it. So, like, if you're not in the mood and this is what you're reading, I could be like, no, I can't do this today.
No, this is not the fucking time.
Yeah.
This other review, too, I'm just going to read the bottom, from Jay said, the problem is this could have been so good, but had it not been written by a squirrel on crack.
All these are true. All these are true.
And then the last one from Joanna says, what the fuck happened? And I think that's a great summation of it, because that's how I ended most of my reading chapters. It was like, what the fuck did I just read? But why do I still want to keep reading more?
Yeah, I agree with all of these. And I would feel like if I wasn't reading it for the show, I think I would have put it down multiple times and probably not picked it up just because I just don't know if I could read this right now, or I would have forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like...
It's one of those ones that you think about, oh, am I going to read this?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like it's a chore to read it.
Yeah.
I listened to it, and I bounced back and forth. So I would read it a little bit and listen to it. The listening to it really helped because the narrator is good. So if you're interested in this book and you do audiobooks, I would say I would go that route with this one. Because it's almost easier to have somebody reading it to you. So I just have to kind of pay attention.
I wish I could have done the audiobook more so than the reading, but I take notes, so like I can't do audio and then take notes. It's very difficult.
It is difficult. Mm-hmm.
But like I felt like I could see how this would have been one of my first audiobooks I would have jumped into, because it would have been more like someone telling me. It's like a girlfriend coming over and be like, hey, do you want to hear what happened?
And just word vomiting to you.
I could pay attention to that, but reading it, I'm like,
that's why it did help a little with that. But yeah, so overall, I think we land solidly at a 3. I would say 3.5, 0 spice, again, just like Kristen said. But if you're into this type of book, it does sort of feel like a highbrow book. So if you're into these sort of like highbrow, pretentious books, this is the book for you.
Yeah.
I think that you'd like it. If you don't like any of this, you're not gonna like it.
No.
There's no real fantasy in it. There's one singular plot that's not told to you, or it's not linear kind of story.
All over the place.
It's
trying to be linear.
It's trying. It's trying, as it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But overall, we fit right in with the rest of the Goodreads group with a medium 3. Okay, so Kristen, did you have any favorite parts?
I do. I have 4. 4 favorite parts. My first one is I really enjoy the way that Tom is haunting the mansion and he's trying to stop Vi from selling the place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just constantly them arguing about it, and there's one part that he's just like yelling, I don't want you to sell my house, and it's like, it cracks me up. And she tells them, there's one part specifically, she tells them, they're talking about his unfinished business, and he goes, she's like, your unfinished business is to find out how you died, so we're going to do that. And he goes, no, I think my unfinished business is to stop you from selling my house. And, like, that cracked me up, because, like, he just keeps going to that. Another part I like is when Vi goes to meet Fox, and he asks if he could speak to Tom, and they just like end up having this huge issue and this huge bickering session, and then eventually she's just like, okay, well, that now that I scheduled you, you know, whatever, for the appointment, she's like telling him, okay, I'll be able to meet up with the archangel, or not, well, the angel, not archangel, the angel Amira. And she goes, well, how do I get in touch with you, Cal? And he goes, well, I'm just going to sleep over. And I'm just going to stay over at Fox's. And he's like, no, you're fucking not. And he goes, he's like telling him, he's like, well, I don't sleep. So Fox is like, oh. It's like, it's just this bickering back and forth. I also like that the archangels realized that the key was stolen to get into the game.
Yes.
That fucking was hilarious to me. And then the one last part that I liked was pretty much just the twists that are sprinkled throughout, like all of the twists pretty much sprinkled throughout the book. Like when Tom gets Tom's able to get his, no, not, well, is it Tom? When Tom stole the ring from Fox when he was sleeping, not Tom the ghost, but Tom the ancestor stole the ring from Fox to call death. I also enjoyed that Fox's so-called godling lover gives him these trinkets, like the ring from death, the watch from Father Time to stop, so he can, you know, stay young forever. I like those little twists throughout the book, and to be able to list all of them, we'd be here for a while. But I love each and every one of those twists. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool, because like you're finding out these twists because you don't know half of the fucking story. So when you are finding out the twist, it's actually like, oh, now you feel like you're let into the group. You're feeling like you're finally understanding what the ins and outs are. And I loved that. I did love that when they finally revealed all those twists.
Yes, I agree. And to piggyback off of that, one of the biggest twists that I loved the most, which is one of my favorite parts, is learning that Brant was the mastermind behind all of this, because he just wanted his Fox back. Like, that's all he wanted. These two.
So sweet.
I love Brant and Tom's relationship. That was probably my favorite.
I did
of
enjoy
this
their
whole.
relationship.
Like, I loved Brant. Just Brant's willingness to be like, yeah, I'll spend eternity in hell just if I could just tell you that I love you. Like, that's all Brant wanted to do, was just be able to tell him that he loved him. So it got me in the feels, but that was one of my favorite parts. Another one. You were done with yours, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, I piggybacked, but I thought
no, I was done.
Another one I like is when they all go to the house to meet with Tom, and they're all bickering back and forth, and Cal keeps like translating what Tom is saying to Fox, and he's growing like increasingly irritated about everything that's going on, and then Brant appears, and it's just like, I think there's multiple times where he's like, can everybody just like shut the fuck up for a second?
It is a lot to bear. I agree with Fox on that.
I loved it. That was funny. Another thing that I liked is I loved Volo's curse. I thought that was so interesting, where we have Tom, and it's again one of those twists that you were mentioning, where we have Tom, the original Tom, who ends up killing he doesn't kill his wife, but Volo kills his wife, and that starts it, and then he kills his son. Like, this was great. I love that.
It was really good. I like that.
And then the final thing that I liked was Death at the end, when he is talking about how he's sort of understanding his feelings, like why he lost the game is because he's having these mortal feelings, and the mortal feeling is love. Like, he feels bad for what he did to Fox. He didn't, and like for underestimating Fox, that he couldn't like handle his mortal feelings, and that he had to come in and like separate the two of them, and he feels really bad for it. And then so they're talking afterwards, Fox and him, about like, he's like, is this love? It's horrible. I don't want anything to do with it. And Fox is like, yeah, this is love, and yeah, it does suck, but you know, it's also beautiful.
It's what makes mortals have the ability to do all the mortal complexities of life. And the thing is like, when Death was telling him, oh yeah, I underestimated you, he didn't underestimate just Fox. He underestimated mortals as a whole.
Yes.
And that's what he was saying. He's I underestimated everything that mortals feel. Because I think that because you guys feel, you guys aren't as intellectual as us immortals.
Yes.
And he realizes that's utter bullshit.
Yeah.
It's because mortals can feel that they're stronger than the immortals.
Yes.
And that they lack purpose. Immortals lack purpose because mortals have the purpose because they have these feelings, and that's what makes them.
And that's the drive behind everything. They do.
And that's why they're able to win this game that
that they can't win.
That mortals can. That's why they're banned. Mortals are banned. So that was interesting.
It was great. Yeah, that whole aspect was great, and it was a good feeling story at the end.
Yeah, and the fact that Death is like, I'm already gonna lose.
Yep.
I'm going to lose because I have these mortal feelings.
And I love my stepson.
Yeah.
Like, I love him. And that was, like, we have the romantic love, we have the between Fox and Brant, and then you have this, like, blooming love between Vi and Tom, and then you have this, like, paternal love between Fox and Tom, or Fox and Death. Like, all of this was beautiful. I really did like it. It was feel good. It was chaos, and then it was feel good. I didn't have any disliked parts.
So I wouldn't say these are disliked parts. These are just things I would like to add. There are illustrations in the book, not just the cover and the front cover and the back cover. I love those illustrations. Don't get me wrong. In this book in particular, there's a lot of exclusive luxe editions that are out there that are pretty cool. But this in particular, this edition right here, I didn't like the inside illustrations. They're not my type of art, and I hate bashing people's artwork because that's not fair. Everybody has different art style. It's just not my taste, and I felt that they were. I don't like even saying this. I felt they were horrid. I didn't like them. There was one that I did enjoy. I think it was the very last illustration where you see Isis with Volo.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That one was really cool because you could see Volo in the background. Ooh, that was creepy, and I love that. However, I did not like any of the other ones. I felt like they were like pieced together from like a magazine or something.
Oh, okay.
I didn't enjoy that.
That's funny.
But I also, which I already just said in the beginning of the no spoilers part, I didn't like I felt like I was always left out of stuff.
Yeah.
But so I'm not going to repeat that whole thing. But that is exactly I would say the only thing that I didn't really enjoy. But other than that, I didn't really dislike anything else.
And that's understandable. Nobody wants to be left out of a story that they're in.
No. But I do have, like, my favorite characters in this book, obviously are Tom, Death, and I did enjoy Fox towards the end. Like, I didn't really know what to expect of Fox. I thought he was just a piece of shit, like, dude that's, like getting things off of Death. I thought because you see it normally throughout the book, or it's normal throughout the book for everybody to say that Fox was getting his immortality through nepotism.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But as you read on, it's from his love. It's from his godling lover.
Yes.
So you find out he isn't this piece of shit dude. He's just a hurt dude that was hurt badly from the guy he loved, and he thought he just disappeared, and so he's acting out.
Yes.
He's trying to find
it's like self-sabotage.
Yes, and that's when you find out, oh, okay, he's just another mortal who is becoming immortal from this guy that he once loved, and now he's hurting from it. And so you start to kind of pity him and feel bad for him as time goes on. But then you also think he's hilarious. Well, I did.
Yes.
Because of now he's got to put up with all this shit.
That's what I liked about it, is that he's set up to be the imbecile and the idiot who, like, spoiled blah, blah, and turns out, but then he's surrounded by other idiots because they're, like, pissing him off, but you come to find out that it's, like, none of that was really true.
Yeah, it was just now they're thrown together, and they all have their issues, and they all have their secrets, and they're dealing with it, and they end up helping each other out, and it comes to be this ending conclusion of this book that ends up being great. Yeah. So, because of that, I ended up falling for Tom the Ghost, which I really liked his ending. But yeah, so that's really the gist of my character likes and dislikes too.
I think those are good ones. I feel the same about Fox. I liked Fox a little bit more, just because I thought he was fucking hilarious. Like, when all the shit was going down, he was funny. I did like Tom and I like Death. I also did like Cal and Mayra, even though they didn't like make my like
Cal,
list.
yeah.
I love that Mayra was his guardian angel.
Yeah.
And she was like dealing. There's this one scene I think I should have put as my favorite too, where he's like breaking out of this like house or something, and she's like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
Like she has to be a guardian angel. So Kristen, do you think that the writing style in this mimicked anything like our previous read, which was Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love, the fan fiction?
I feel like it did go back and forth, but that's about it. I didn't really put two and two together with those two. I didn't connect anything with them.
So rumor on the streets
Yeah.
is that Olivie Blake might be the writer of Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal.
Really?
Yeah, so apparently she's a known fan fiction writer, but the things that she's published have obviously been anonymous.
Yeah.
So there were 3 people in the list where I saw this is like a deep in a Reddit thread.
Okay.
I found this information. But she's known to be in the Hermione fan fiction arena anyways.
Oh.
Whether or not she's writing it, but she's just active in it. I don't know if people know specifically which one she's read, but they think she wrote this one. With, again, 2 other people that are suspected writers, but because we were reading these 2 together, I thought we might.
That's interesting.
And
yeah.
I was actually bouncing back between this one, because I was listening to this one, and then also reading The Mortifying Ordeal, and just like the writing phrases felt very similar. Like the construction of each sentence kind of felt the same.
I could see that because it did have a little bit of that same feel to just the word choices,
like the tone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. If not, they're very close in writing style. I wouldn't say I don't think that they couldn't be. But I could see that. I could see that.
And humor is kind of the same.
The humor is very similar.
So I thought that was interesting.
I would agree with that. I would think if anything, the humor is quite like. Yeah.
So I just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't know if anybody has any other information about this. Again, I saw this in some deep in some Reddit thread, specifically on, I think it was that fan fiction, like the Mortifying Ordeal.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
I would have never thought, but now that you said that, I could see.
And it makes sense because a lot of authors do start in fan fiction. And I think it's cool that she is in the fan fiction universe, known to be in there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool, but
especially in Hermione.
I know.
I like that about her.
It makes me. I know. I was trying to say, it makes me like her even more. I gotta read all her shit. I'm like, ooh, you're one of us.
Yeah, I like it.
So, anyways, I thought that was interesting. If you guys have any other information, that would be cool. You can put that down at the end. But I think that sort of wraps up our review on this one.
Yeah. Well, actually,
a good one.
Yeah, we'll have quotes at the end of our episode. You can see what we picked in particular to this book. I think there's some really good quotes in there that we chose this time around. So.
I think so too. So next week we will be starting our first series, I think, of this season. It's 7 books. Will be coming out.
6. There's 5 right here. The 6th. So the 6th book isn't out yet, but by the time we air these episodes, it should be out. So we're trying to get right at the end of this, right around time. So we will be reading. This is a book we have read, or series we have read for the most part already. I think Crystal's just 1 book shy that you haven't read yet. But we will be reading that last book together. So it's going to be interesting.
And this, of course, is The Played Prisoner. And so we're starting with Guild. Ooh, got that right. I've been struggling with it all week. I've been throwing all of the names out there. Because it's like Guild, Glint, Gleam, Glam. I don't know, Glam. Gold.
Guild, Glint, Gleam, Glow, Gold.
I just throw one every time. I'm like, are we reading this one?
And then Goldfinch is at the end.
Yeah. So we're excited to do this for our first series. We read it initially without knowing that it was a fucking not finished.
Yeah.
And so it ended on the cliffhanger. I stopped. I didn't want that torture. Kristen decided she was going to continue in that torture.
I had to because I felt like, how bad could this last book be? Because the one was already a cliffhanger. I was like, I gotta know. And then the cliffhangers get intense every time. Every book they get even worse or even better, I should say. And it's like I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. I cannot wait for this next book to come out.
I'm glad. I'm glad I didn't do that. That's all you, girl. But anyway, so we'll be starting with Guild next week by Raven Kennedy. If you're interested in following along with us.
our reading and review schedule is linked in the description below. I think we said in the beginning, but yeah, it's all there and ready for you to just like click and follow. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see what we're up to.
Yep. Alrighty, we'll see you next time.
Bye.